What's up, everybody? Maddox here, and welcome back to the Poke Historian. This is the show where I just get on this camera sometimes and talk about whatever I want as it relates to the world of Pokemon cards. And today we're going to talk about old Logan Paul and his big event that he did last night, the opening of the first edition base set booster box and the Legendary Collection booster box, as well as the sale of the Illustrator Pikachu card. So let's go ahead and dive in and talk about what happened here, and I'll give you my thoughts. First off, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the very exciting and shocking event, which is the Illustrator Pikachu selling for $16.5 million. That is absolutely absurd, absolutely insane, and I don't fully believe that somebody paid $16.5 million for that card in cash. I think with that type of sales price, there had to have been some backroom deals that went on between the parties, between Golden Auctions and Logan Paul and whoever bought the card to create this spectacle, because I was thinking that card was probably going to sell for maybe closer to 7 or 8, because it is the Illustrator Pikachu. It is a PSA 10, although how legitimate of a 10 it is, we don't really know. There is some controversy regarding that. But I just don't fully believe that that card truthfully sold for that amount. I see that as a way to create spectacle, a way to get people's jaws dropping and to bring attention to the hobby and to get all the news outlets involved, which they have. You know, they've all done stories on it now, so mission accomplished. But when you see something that outrageous, you have to think to yourself, there's got to be some sort of backroom deal going on between the parties to create that type of sensationalism to get everyone involved. And with the line of work I do with development, I can tell you I do see that type of stuff go on with some of the deals I've made, where what the public sees in the deal isn't necessarily what actually happened behind the scenes. So don't think for a minute that you got all the facts, because you likely didn't. They do not want to give us all the facts in these type of situations. It is not in their best interest. And truthfully, a lot of the stuff that goes on these days, folks, is very fake. There are a lot of shams and scams out there, so just keep that in mind. Regardless, though, the sale of this card is going to probably have a ripple effect on the Pokemon card community. I think we can continue to see prices soar, especially in vintage, from this particular event happening. So strap in for that. And that goes back to the point I'm always making about vintage and your high-end cards, right? Which is, if you have anything really good, I'm talking Gold Stars, Neo Destiny and Revelation Shining cards, Poncho Pikachus, whatever. If you have any of the grails of the hobby, the true grails, the very, very hard to get stuff, please, unless you really need the money, please do not sell it. Because as these items get more and more expensive, the wealth is going to transfer to more and more ritzy type folks, and a lot of these cards will never be available in yours or my hands ever again. So be very careful about what you sell, because this event is going to drive a lot of wealthier people to the Pokemon community. It's going to drive a lot of financial institutions and big investors to the community, and they're going to start buying up this stuff even more than they already are. So please be very careful with what you sell. Like I've said before in some of my other videos, you want to be the holdover grandma who refuses to sell her house when the big developer comes in the community and is trying to build like the new apartments everywhere. You want to be the grandma that does not sell. Be a freaking grandma. Got it? All right, so that's all I got to say on the Illustrator Pikachu. And then as far as the actual box opening events goes, guys, what a freaking snooze fest. Like, they took so much time in between opening each individual pack. I was bored out of my mind, and my friends were watching with me, and they were feeling the same way. Like, there was like 20-minute delays sometimes, it felt like, between opening a single pack of some of those base set first edition packs. It was so annoying. And Logan Paul and the guy from Golden Auctions and Logan Paul's little buddy Mike, like, they just spent so much time just patting each other on the back and commemorating the event and just saying all this bullshit that doesn't matter. Like, I'd watched a couple of Logan Paul's box breaks in the past, and like, I don't really like the guy, but I thought the events were entertaining. This one was not that much fun to watch. The pulls really weren't that great. No Charizards were pulled. They pulled a couple first edition Blastouses, which was cool. But overall, it really wasn't that great of a first edition base box. And then the legendary box was actually even worse. They hardly got any pulls out of that box that were worthwhile. I think they got like the Flareon, like reverse holo. Not a very good box. So not only did you have pulls that weren't that great, but then like the amount of delay between the opening of individual packs and the amount of patting each other on the back and kissing each other's own asses that occurred during the event was just incredibly boring and eye-rolling. And then they had like that big gong they kept hitting whenever like somebody would put in a new bid on the Illustrator Pikachu. It was spectacle, but like it wasn't even entertaining spectacle. It was spectacularly boring is what it was. So that's what I got on that. But like I also said about the Illustrator Pikachu, I do think this stupid event is going to drive a lot more people to the hobby, so get ready for that. We got the Pokemon Day coming up in a few days, which is going to also blow the lid off things. So you think the hype's bad now? I don't see it dying down. And sometimes, y'all, I'm beginning to wonder, is this ever going to die down? Like, is it really ever going to calm down? Are we really ever going to see products in stores like available for the masses where you could just casually walk in on a Saturday when you're doing your grocery shopping and pick up cards? I've gotten lucky with that like a couple of times at Aldi, but like never at Walmart or Target. And I really am wondering if those days are truly gone. It just seems to me like people are so desperate for money these days that going to these stores and buying up products and trying to flip them on the market has become a very popular way for people to make an extra buck when they're not making a lot. And then you also got the people that don't really want to or can't work normal jobs, and they're also kind of feeding into this. But I don't want to get too much off topic with that. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in my next video.